Hi, Amy with Experience the Quilt. Come make a fast Christmas project with me. You can do it in an afternoon. Okay, so we need fabrics. What I would suggest is picking a focus fabric, but you don't have to do that. You can do this totally scrappy. I picked a focus fabric, which I actually picked two because they go together. These cute snowflakes and these trees. And I just went off of the colors that were in here. So I added a green, a light blue, a medium blue, a pink, and a darker red. And then I also decided to add a yellow. And even though there isn't a yellow within these, I felt like the tone of it went really well. And I am making this for my daughter-in-law, and she loves yellow. So I decided I really wanted to put some yellow in here. So you can pick whatever you want. Like I said, it can be scrappy, but an example of a stocking that I've already done. This is my son's, and I did really big pieces. So there's not very many pieces on here at all. You can see here's his cute furry cuff. And I did this many, many years ago, but I decided I wanted to not do quite so big pieces. I wanted to have all these colors. So I decided to do a few smaller pieces. But first of all, we move this fabric out of the way. And what we need to do is get batting and trace our stocking. So I literally just laid out a scrap of batting. So you can choose whatever size stocking you want. These stockings are rather large. I personally, if I could go back in time, would do smaller stockings because it takes a lot to fill these stockings. But this is what I did. My sister gave me a pattern for her stockings, and she felt like hers were too small. So I made mine a lot bigger, and they are really large. So pick whatever size you want. But I just picked my stocking that I already had made. I placed it on my cotton batting. You can use an 80-20. I would not use 100% polyester. I think it would be too puffy. And I laid it on, and I used my rotary cutter, and I just did a quick little cut around. You can trace and then cut with scissors. Either way works just fine. So here is my base that I'm working with for my stocking. I am now going to take what I call Misty Fuse. I don't call it that. They call it that. It is called Misty Fuse. It's a fusible adhesive. It is just this beautiful light little webbing with no paper or anything. I have scraps because I use this a lot, and I save my scraps. Little tiny pieces I save all the time. So I'm going to use this today and just place some little bits and pieces. I'll even just rip it and place it around on the stocking because I don't need every little piece completely attached because I am going to sew them down. So I use just little pieces that I kind of rip and place, and that way I don't waste it with not needing that. You can cover the whole stocking if you want. I just did not. You can even use a glue stick to do that, but I find that glue sticks don't hold very long. So I like my Misty Fuse because it got a little here. It holds as long as you want it to hold. So I prefer to use that. But I am going to cover it well. There's lots of pieces. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but I've got a lot of my surface, but not the entire surface covered. Because I just want them like almost like a basted down when I want to, so it will hold till I get it to the sewing machine, okay? So then I took my fabrics, and I already pre-cut these, figuring it all out just for the video, but I start wherever you want to start. I started at the toe, and I laid out I wanted the yellow, and I laid out my yellow around, and then I cut with my rotary cutter. And then I found another piece, and I can't remember how I placed this, but then I think how did I do my triangle? Was it this way? I think I like that better. I don't know if my triangle was like that, but I kind of like that a little bit better than how I had it. So it's kind of fun to just lay it out, and you just kind of pick pieces as you go and lay with what you like. This is the heel. I picked the heel and the toe to both be yellow because I wanted that because she loves yellow. If you're going to pick a directional fabric, I don't think it really matters, but I did pick this directional fabric and it has some cute words in it, like "Come let us adore him" and stuff like that. So I made sure it was facing up, but you don't have to do that. You can totally have it be upside down because this is like a scrappy quilt, right? Like a Victorian era. I would suggest overlapping your pieces just a little bit though. You don't want your batting to show, so cut them a little larger. And if your batting on the edge here shows a little bit, that's okay because it's going to be in the seams when we sew the backing. So anyway, I'm going to continue to lay this out, but you can see kind of how it looks. So I've got all my pieces laid out and ready to go to the iron. I want to show you a couple steps that next I would press this. And then once it's all pressed down, it's ready to sew. And before we sew, I'm just going to, you can do this before or after you sew. I lay out the fabric I want for the back of the stocking, and I would lay this on top and cut it out to match. If you are using not a batik, I'm using a batik, so they are the same on both sides. So it doesn't matter. If you are not using a batik, you will want to make sure that you flip your top over so that the other side is this way so that they match. Okay, that's a mistake that I've made many, many times. Don't make my mistake. Make sure that you do it the right way. It doesn't matter with a batik. They're the same on both sides. A broadcloth, it doesn't matter, a solid fabric. But if you're using a print like this red, you can see that it has a different color, a different on the back. So just make sure you flip it so that it's the right way. Also, you will want some fur for your cuff. You could use a white minky. You can see that this one is another fur that I had from many, many years ago. I no longer have it, but I do have this. And this is a cuff fur that I bought at Joann a couple of Christmases ago to make stockings. I have a bunch of stocking kits that I couched, and I think they're available on my website. If you would like to check out my website, it is experiencethequilt.com, and you can get signing up for my newsletter. You can get 15% off your first order for finishing a quilt. That is what we do there. We have fast and easy online ordering. You put in your measurements and you can know a price, and then you can ship it to us. Over $150 is free shipping, and you also get free batting and thread with every order. So that is us. And if you like this video, I would love it if you would like and subscribe. Also, one more before we leave the cutting table, you will need a piece of fabric for your loop to hang the stocking. This is 2 inches by 4 inches about. It's a piece of scrap, and I just cut it to those dimensions, and then I folded it in on each side and I pressed it. And now we're going to take the sewing machine and we're just going to sew down the middle so it is ready to attach. Okay, so now that I've stitched several different stitches in different colors, I forgot that I wanted to add some ricrac and ribbons and fun things like that on the other seams that I didn't have covered. So I found some fun ricrac in my box of trims that I thought went well. This is a fun gray with red in it. It's really fun. And I thought the gray kind of brings out the blue in the stocking. And I found some pretty pink and blue ribbon, some little mini pink ricrac, and this pretty, I don't know, what do you even call it, fun trim that I had that is a piece of satin ribbon with, I don't know what that is. Something fun weaved within it. So I'm just going to seriously sew it down over those different little seams. So all my seams are covered by ribbon or ricrac or stitching. And so we're going to take that to the sewing machine. And while I'm there, I'm also taking my pieces of fur that I have cut and the same size width as my stocking. And we'll just go at the top. And that is also, you can do it as big or as small as you want your cuff. It's really up to you. Mine is 4 inches, about a little less than 4 inches wide. But that's just because my scrap was that big. I had 8 inches. I cut it in half. You pick whatever you want for the size of your cuff. It's really okay. 4 inches is a good size. So let's take this to the machine. Okay, I've now sewn on my pieces, my little ricracs and my ribbons, and I've sewn around the fur around to the top. So see, it's not even, I just sewed it right to the top of the stocking. Now make sure you sew it on the right side. Your stocking toes are gonna face each other, and that's the fur, where the side you put the fur on, okay? Because you're gonna flip it to sew it together, right? Now, before we sew it together, you're going to take your little piece of your loop that we sewed together already. We're just going to fold it in half and put it right in the corner of the backing. I put it on the heel, the side of the heel, the corner with the heel, because that's how you want to hang your stocking, right? Not from the toe. So I'm then going to pick a zigzag stitch and do a quick stitch across it to hold it down. Super fast and easy, and your fur is going to cover that right up. You won't even notice it. So now I have our little loop sticking out there. So we'll line our stockings up, and I don't like pins because they poke me and they're a pain, so I use clips. I did not put fur on the back of my other stockings that I did for my kids. I just did it on the front, and I really am sad that I didn't, because it has made, I feel like the fur helps give some stability and strength to the top of the stocking. So I have chosen to put fur on the back this time. But like I said, it's been a while since I've made stockings. At least this kind of stockings. I need to trim that up a little bit. If you have some extra fabric sticking out, feel free to trim it up so that you can see your line that you're going to be sewing on. I'm going to do a more than a quarter inch seam allowance. This is a big stocking, and I want it to hold really well, especially with all this fur. So I should have mentioned, it's really smart to move your loop in more like your seam allowance, because now I can see that I made a mistake. I sewed that loop right where my seam allowance is going to be. That was really silly of me. So I'm going to pick that out real quick and restitch that. Okay, you can see how I fixed my loop. I moved it in out of the way of my seam allowance so I don't stitch up my loop. I'm gonna say a 1/2 inch seam allowance is probably what I'm at. Oh, I'm gonna go to a straight stitch. Okay, we have our stocking sewn up and turned right side out. And now it's time to embellish with the things we're gonna glue on or sew on. You can do either way. If you're gonna sew, I would say you'd probably need to do it before you sew it together. But I'm going to glue, so I wanted to sew everything together so that this can sit and dry and I don't have to move it anymore. So I found some cute little embellishments. I found a little bow with a bead on it, and I'm using one of my favorite tools. It's called Gem Tack. You can find it pretty much at any craft store. It is permanent. It dries clear, and everything I glue on, all the beads and things I've glued onto all of my projects have stayed so well, and I really like it. So I just add a little dab. Less is better. You don't need a ton, and I glue it on. And I've got a cute little snowflake. I would suggest using anything you have in your stash. Buttons are fun. This one I'm going to do some little dots of glue around to get, because it's thicker and heavier. Not heavy really, but it's a pretty thick snowflake. So I'm going to glue it up in this red one. You can do as much or a little embellishment as you want. It's really your choice, and it's so fun. I'm going to do a bell. I've done bells before, not this one this big, so we'll see. I really have no doubt that this Gem Tack will work. I just got to get it to hold where I want it to hold. That little bell right there. I even picked a little lace applique. I don't even know where I found it. All these little things I have collected over the years at yard sales. And so I just put them in my fun little box of treasures. And then when I want to do something fun like this, I look in my box of treasures and pull them out. And this just has glue all over it. You can totally sew this down if you'd like to. But I love to glue because things go fast. And I'm not planning on washing this. I mean, if you think you might need to wash your stocking, then I would use washable things. Check your fur, because I don't know if all furs can be washed. But if you have I've had little spots from my kids, and I just do a quick, take a wash rag to it and get rid of it. So there we are. It's all done. And if I felt like, I wanted another something up here, I could put something, but I think it is good. I'm happy with it. I wanted to share with you another stocking I did to just give you examples of what you can do. Here's some fun trims. I had some buttons with shanks on the back, and I didn't like how they were tilted on the quilt, so I took pliers and pulled the shanks off and then glued them down. And these are just little beads that I added as well. This one doesn't have any ricrac or ribbon, but it's okay, it works. Another one that I did is really fun and bright, and I couched some eyelash yarn. I have lots of fun ricrac ribbon with stitching on it, some more buttons that I took the shanks off of, and fun little heart button. I lost one. My kids probably pulled it off. Anyway, these were just some examples, and if you liked what you saw today, please share, like, and subscribe with the button below.
Welcome to Experience the Quilt. We are a long-arm quilting business based in the Boise, Idaho area. You can drop off or ship your quilts so that we can finish them for you. We quilt all sizes, no extra charge for batting or thread. Sign up for 15% off with your first order at experiencethequilt.com.